Okay, so where we left off. Okay, let's stop this and let's reset this. Okay, so let's go ahead and restart that. And let's go ahead and minimize the rest of these. They will work. Okay. So, okay, navigating menus. Alrighty, so we're in the navigating menus part. Blender uses both pop-up and pull-down menus. Many of the menus have submenus. Menu item displays a triangle. It means it leads to submenu. For instance, the pull-down menu shown below has 17 items for which lead to submenus. And that would be like this one right here. Open recent, import, export, that sort of thing. Because it has little triangles, and that's the way it is even now. It might look a little different, but you can move through the items of the menu, move the mouse pointer up and down, or pressing up arrow and down arrow. You can enter a submenu by moving the mouse pointer to the right or pressing the right arrow. You can leave a submenu by moving the mouse pointer to the left or pressing the left arrow. To initiate a menu action, click left mouse button or press enter. You can escape from a menu by moving the mouse pointer away from the menu or pressing escape. For each menu, Blender remembers your last choice and highlights it for you the next time you enter the menu. Notation. The menu notation is fairly self-explanatory. Shift plus A, mesh to UV sphere, means that press Shift A in the menu that pops up, move through the items until mesh is highlighted. Enter the mesh submenu, move through the item until UV sphere is highlighted. Press enter or click the left mouse button to initiate the action, which is still the way it is on 2.8. So that's not any really different. This module is applicable only to users with non-standard input devices. If you have both a 3-button mouse and a keyboard with a numpad, you can skip this module. And I'm not sure if I should skip this or not, because I think things are a little slightly different. Most modern laptops have pseudo numpad set of keys in the main keypad, which double as a numpad. The keys typically used for this purpose are 7, 8, 9, and 0. U, I, O, and P, J, K, L, semicolon, M key, comma, period, slash. When used as pseudo numpad, these keys typically act as the following keys from a true numpad, which, numpad, like, okay, slash, star, okay, all that. Numpad, these functions can be logged with the toggle with the F11 or numlock on PCs with FX or with F6 on Macs. Alternatively, you can temporarily activate the numpad behavior by holding down the function. If your keyboard has the alternate labelings, but you don't know how they work, consult your laptop's owner manual. The last resort, you can use emulate numpad feature of Blender. This allows you to use normal numeric keys as if they were keypad numpad numerics. Instructions to enable this feature may be found in user preference Windows module. Blender uses the numeric keypad quite a bit. If you envision your laptop for this kind of work, it may be worth investing in a USB numeric keypad. On eBay, prices for simple external numpads start at $10. Okay. Non-3-button mouse. For single-button mouse users, make sure that the input for Blender 2.79 under user preferences on the leftmost drop-down menu, emulate 3-button mouse is enabled. And I think you can still do this. I'm not positive. On many computers with 2-button mice, middle mouse button can be emulated simultaneously. Clicking the left mouse button and right mouse button on Windows machines, you'll need to enable this from the mouse settings and control panel. On Mac, open the keyboard and mouse preference pane and enable use 2 fingers to scroll. Alternatively, by selecting emulate 3-button mouse under user preferences, can be emulated simultaneously by clicking Alt and left mouse button. Recent IBM ThinkPad laptops allow you to disable the Alt-Nav features of the middle mouse button in order to use the normal 3rd button. Alternatively, some laptops areas allow called gestures on the movement pad to act as a Apple single button mouse. I'm not on Mac and I'm on Windows, and I'm not doing a tutorial here. I'm just going through this. So if you are on a Mac and you're watching this video, I'd suggest looking up the documentation and the usual stuff. If I was doing an actual tutorial, I'd make sure to get into it and figure it out. But right now, see, this is Blender 2.4 user manual. Input devices version 2.7x. Anyways, so let's move on, shall we? This tutorial covers user interface issues that are specific to particular operating systems or window managers. Read the section that applies to your computer. You may skip the rest. Linux, GNOME, Ubuntu, Mac OS X, Microsoft Windows. 2 ways to launch Blender, sticky keys, multiple keyboard layouts, additional resources. I'm just not really going to bother with this because I'm only on Windows, and like I said, I'm not doing a tutorial. Closing either, terminate Windows indistinguishable, leads to confusion. Yeah, you have a console window and stuff. I don't really care. Sticky keys. It's not really a big deal. So let's go to Dex models with the Blender interface, and this is where we're gonna see if we can figure out what the we'll look at this, and then we'll look at the actual what Blender 2.8, or at least this earlier version of the 2.80 beta looks like in comparison to what they show there in the manual. So for this, I want to make sure that I shrink this down, and let's do that, and let's just go ahead and look at it, and let's go back to the screen. Here's a preview. For those familiar with the older pre-2.5x version of Blender, will look very different. The redesign makes it much easier to find things, and it's even different now. So I'll go ahead and we'll take a, let's see, if I F11 full screen this, and then I switch to actual Blender. Okay, you can kind of tell you got your what do they call that, inspector, navigator, or whatever they call that. You see the tabs up here. You know, this is scene, and then there's object, and there's, you know, physics and materials and etc. and so forth. So this is a little bit different. These are actually in a hidden menu and stuff. I can actually show you later when it starts actually talking about little individual things like that. So kind of do it. The timeline's the same here. If you notice that these are the tabs that were right up here, and let's see what else. Right, the inspector is still normal. Now up here, these are specific to these are workspaces, which is specific to 2.8. It basically means it just creates window layouts for various common tasks. You can actually change these in any of these layouts to the way you want it, but you know, they just make it easier to access each of the, you know, if you want to do the different things like rendering, so it switches to, you know, the different deals for rendering, and you don't have to do it in this like a separate menu and stuff. So these are little navigation deals, which this one didn't have. That doesn't mean it doesn't have the thing to access them. It's somehow they're done in a different way back in the 2.7s, and so I'm just briefly showing you this. Remember where it shows the transform tab here? That's all here, and you can hide it. In fact, you can hide it with I believe it's N, that, and then these are additional, like this one will do that, and then you can actually rotate, you know, like that, and you can do that to actually turn it to different sides. You notice the grid is missing. That's part of the thing of this 2.8 beta, and I forget how to reset. I forget how to reset it back to normal. well, I guess that's what that is. I go back into perspective. Um, anyways, I'm not trying to show you how to do that here. We're gonna go when we hit each of those. So let's go ahead and I'll minimize this right now. And here I'll get out of that and we'll go back. And it looks like we're almost done anyways. So yeah. Why does it follow UI conventions for insert OS of choice here? Allows on the user interface. Workflow originally created 3D graphic shop for their in-house use, being a key revenue engine for them, and they designed it for maximum productivity, speed, and smooth operation. That means avoiding bumps. So they basically made it for themselves, and it wasn't originally, for the public. Why isn't it prompt to save changes, confirmation? I think it actually notifies you now, so you're warned on exit when unsaved changes right from 279. So it kind of does that now, and while it still maintains some of the weirdness, some of the things that it used to do, like everything was moving the okay, this actually does that cursor. Anyways, now right clicks actually do open the menus, and left click actually does whatever your action is. So if you select the box, or you can actually select it, stuff like that. So it's actually a lot closer to what people expect now. That was part of the big deal about the interface change in 2.8. Was just to make it easier and more like uniform, more like what everybody did. So you can imagine back when Blender was originally created that they had their own way of doing it, because there's no standardized, windowing or whatever. This is created years and years ago, and back when everybody did their own kind of thing. But now that things have gotten pretty standardized with the web and with the process of the computers converging and stuff, it's about time that they changed, and so they've updated it to where it's more familiar to what everybody does now. Anyways, so that's going to probably cut it for today. We're going to go into the individual interface, and I'm going to try to find the 2.8 equivalents to applicable Blender version 2.69. It probably didn't change to 2.7x from 2.69 as far as the interface goes, but then 2.8 changed, and we'll see what the differences are. So I hope you'll join me next time when we will go into the actual Blender windowing system, and we'll see if we can figure out the 2.80 equivalents of that. So thanks for watching. I will talk to you later.